Welcome to this predicted paper from onmaths. This paper represents the best guess for the upcoming exams. Please use this paper in addition to your other revision. You can complete a unique version of this paper by going to our onmaths site. onmaths is full of free content to help you prepare for your exams, such as topic-based papers, demon questions and mini mocks. If you like what we do, please consider subscribing. So we need to first of all understand what a cube number is. So a cube number is the answer to when you get three integers or whole numbers and we multiply them by themselves three times. So 1 times 1 times 1 is 1, 2 times 2 times 2 is 8, 3 times 3 times 3 is 27, 4 times 4 times 4 is 64, and 5 times 5 times 5 is 125. So 1, 8, 27, 64, 125 are all cube numbers, and it goes on forever. And this question's asked us to find all the odd, or an odd, cube number that is smaller than 100. So it has to be odd, so that gets rid of the 8 and the 64. And it has to be smaller than 100, so that gets rid of the 125. So I can either write down 1 would be a fine answer, or 27. I'm going to go for 1. There are 10 squares in total, so each square is worth 1/10. And if we count all of the shaded squares, we notice that in total there are 7 shaded squares. So that's 7 lots of 1/10, or 7/10. Multiples are times tables, so the multiples of 2 are the times table of 2. So 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, etc, etc. So the only number in this list that is in the 2 times table is the 6. To find the factors of 30, we're just going to write down all the factor pairs, or all the pairs of numbers that multiply together to make 30. So 1 times 30 is 30. 2 times 15, 3 times 10. Now 4 doesn't go because 30 is not in the 4 times table. 5 times 6, and we notice that if we pick 6, it's just going to be 6 times 5, it's just going to be the opposite. So the factors are all the numbers that we've just written down, so it would be 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 10, 15 and 30. This question's all about like terms. So what we can do is we can add this 10u with this 11u to make 21u. We can also add this 6v with this plus 4v to make 10v. We can also add this 10w to this minus 6w, so 10 take away 6 is 4w, so plus 4w. But we can't add a u term to a v term to a w term, so we have to just leave them be. So our answer is 21u plus 10v plus 4w, but we can multiply them, we just can't add or subtract them. So we're going to start by writing 5 over 9 as a decimal, and to do that we just need to do 5 divided by 9, which will be 0.5 recurring. And to convert between a decimal and a percentage, we just times by 100. So we're going to get that 0.5 recurring, and we're going to times it by 100, and that will equal 55.555 recurring. And to the nearest percent, that's going to be 56, because that 5 will move that 5 up by 1. The range is the biggest number take away the smallest number. The biggest number in this stem-leaf diagram is found at the bottom right. So this 9 here represents 69. So it would be 69 take away, and the smallest number is always at the top left. So this 4 here represents 34, so it'd be 69 take away 34, which is 35. So we can either use the calculator to work out what 1.2 cubed is, or we can do 1.2 times 1.2 times 1.2. Now if you wanted to use the calculator to go straight there, you're going to press or type in 1.2, and then normally there's a button that looks like this, X with a little 3, okay, and that will give you the answer. Or if you're not sure how to do that, you can times it by itself 3 times, and you get the answer 1.728. We could write an expression for the cost of 6 pencils and 13 rulers. The cost will be 6, and then let's call the cost of a pencil P, plus 13R, and let's call the cost of a ruler R. And let's actually make this an equation. So cost is equal to that. A pencil costs 50p, so it's 6 times 50 plus, and a ruler costs 40p, so it's 13 times 40. So 6 times 50 is 300, 13 times 40 is 520. Add those together and you get 820. So that's £8.20, but it does ask it, or it implies that the answer should be in pence, so it's 820 pence. To answer this question, we basically need to find the lowest common multiple of the 10 minutes here and the 15 minutes here. So we're going to start off just by doing the 10 and 15 times table. So it'd be 10, 20, 30, and 15 times table with 15 and 30. So the lowest common multiple is 30. So after half an hour, these buses will sync up. They'll both leave at the same time. And all buses start service at 9 o'clock. So it will be half an hour after 9 o'clock, which will be 9:30. The lowest point on this graph is here, and that's at point 6, and the highest point is here at point 20. And we're looking for percentage change or percentage increase, and the formula is change over original times 100. So the change between the 6 and the 20 is 14. The original, the starting point, was the 6, and times by 100. And that gives us 233.333 blah 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 percent. And this 100 technically is 100% that we're timesing it by. So it says it wants it to the nearest percent, so that would be 233%. To find average speed, we need to do the total distance and then all we need to do is divide that by the total time. So in this question, the two distances are 90 kilometers and 63 kilometers. So we need to do 90 plus the 63 and divide that by the total time. So that's the 5 hours plus the 4 hours. And so that would be 153 divided by 9, which will give us 17. So the answer will be 17. The distance is in kilometers and the time is in hours, so it'd be 17 kilometers per hour. So to do this question, you just need a piece of paper, a ruler, and a protractor. And the first thing we do is we draw the 11 centimeter line. And my one will not be 11 centimeters for you. It is on my screen. But because depending on what device you watch this on will change obviously its length. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put my protractor on this end here. So I've kind of got my protractor here. And I'm going to just have a look at getting 39 degrees. Now you've got to be careful because 39 is on the inside, and I'm just going to do a dot. So always look to see which one, the inside or the outside of the protractor, starts at 0, and the inside should start at 0 from this side. And I'm just going to draw a line that connects the end of that line and the dot, like so. Now just you can keep it going. Right, the next thing I'm going to do is put my protractor on the other side. So my protractor is kind of here, and I'm lining up the crosshairs with this point here. But this time I'm measuring on the left hand side, and I'm looking at 59 degrees, which will be here. Get my ruler. Now this time I can actually stop where it hits the other line. So keep going and then stop where it hits the other line. This screen's not perfectly calibrated, so it's difficult to do precise work, something like that. And then what you can do is you can get your rubber and just rub out the extra bit of line that we had to do. And so this is our 39 degrees here, and you don't need to label this on the diagram, but just so we know what we're doing. And it says when it's completed, measure length x. So I'm going to get my ruler out and I'm going to measure this length here, this one here, and it is about 95 millimeters. So the answer for me is 95 millimeters. Now there is some level of precision. You're not going to get necessarily exactly 95 millimeters. When we mark these questions, we normally have an overlay and we put it over the top, and if it's roughly the same, and you can make small errors because nobody's perfect, and my diagram definitely is not perfect, but there are allowable small errors here and there. So for this question, we just need to pick one of the coordinates, and I'm just going to pick this one here. And we just need to work out what the coordinates are. Well, it's going up in 2, so it's going to be 4 on this side, and this is kind of 4.5, so that's going to be 19 there. So we know it's 19 at the bottom and 4 at the side here. So we're going to have a look on our table for a 4 and a 19. We've got a 19 and 23 here. It's got to be a 4 and a 19, which is here. And it shows that the 4 is for paper 1 and the 19 is for paper 2. So our answer will just be paper 2. So our sequence, our nth term, is 20 times n plus 6. For the 5th term, n would be 5. So it's 20 times 5 plus 6. 20 times 5 is 100. 100 plus 6 is 106. So we have an original amount, and this represents 100% of the original amount. The new price, new amount, represents 113% because it has said that it has gone up by 13%. So it has increased by 13%. And as a value, that increase is £1,287. So it's 13% of the original. It's gone up 13% of the original price. So what we're going to do is we're going to work out what 1% of the price increase is. Instead of 13%, we're going to work out what 1% is. And we're going to do that by dividing the amount by 13. And we get 99. So 1% represents £99. So 1% of the original represents £99. But the new amount is 113%. So we need to times the £99 by 113, which gives us £11,187. So the picture is now worth £11,187. So you do need to know the parts of a circle. So the full distance around the circle is called the circumference. If you've got a little bit of it, it's an arc. If you've got a line across it, that would be a chord. And the part that's kind of trapped in there is called a segment. Then if you've got a line across the circle going through the center, that's a diameter. If you've got a line just going to the center, if I can draw it properly, then that's called a radius. If you've got a line that touches the circle just on one point like that, that's a tangent. But in this case, we have a sector. We need to first of all work out the theoretical probability. And to do that, we do the successful outcomes over the total number of outcomes. So here we're asked, it lands on a red is successful, so that's going to be 15 over the total amounts. That'd be 40 plus 30 plus 15, which is 85. Okay, now to find the expected amount, it's just the theoretical probability, which is 15 over 85, times the amount of trials, where it says it's spun 500 times. We just go times it by 500. And we get the answer of 88.235, blah, blah, blah. And we're always going to round that down. Okay, so if it's 88.9, we're always going to round it down to 88. Only when it gets to 89 do we write 89. So our answer is that we're expecting roughly 88. The first piece of information I'm going to focus on is the fact Denver gets 8/19. Denver gets 8/19, that means that Engel and Fido together must get 11/19 because they have to add up to 1. So we're only looking at 11/19. I'm going to focus on the ratio next of Engel to Fido. So it's 9 to 5. And let's have a look and see, well, first of all, how many parts there are all together. So 9 plus 5, which is 14 parts. So there are 14 parts in total, and the share that they get is 11 over 19. So what I'm going to do is to find out what fraction one of those parts is worth by dividing 11 over 19 by 14. So each part is worth, and I'm just going to keep this into my calculator, 0.041 blah blah blah. And we're asked to find Fido's share. Well, Fido has 5 parts. So Fido has 5 parts, each of them worth 0.041 blah blah blah. I've kept it in my calculator to keep the accuracy, and when I do that I get 0.206 blah blah blah. Now we're asked to work it out as a percent, so I'm just going to times that by 100. So we have 20.676 blah 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 percent. And it wants it rounded to the nearest percent, so that would be 20%. Or actually, it would be 21%, because this would round it up, so 21%. Okay, first of all, we need to work out what the interior angles would add up to. So the sum of the interior angles is equal to n minus 2 times 180. Now n is the amount of sides, but it says it has 5 sides, so it would be 5 take away 2, which is 3, and then times 180, which would be 540. So we know it will add up to 540. So all we need to do is get that 540 and take away all the angles that we know. So the 118, the 84, the 108, and the 151. And when you do that, you get the answer of 79. To find the average rate of petrol usage, which I'm just going to call rate, what we're going to do is we're going to get the distance travelled by the car, and we're going to divide that by the amount of fuel used, so the volume of the fuel used. So the distance was 135 kilometres. The volume of the fuel used was 9 litres. We do 135 divided by 9, which is 15. So it's 15, and this was in kilometres, and this was in litres. So it's going to be 15 kilometres per litre. Bearings questions are normally written as find the bearing of destination from a location. So you can see in this question here that the answer is 275. So the line they're taking it from is this line here, this north line, and they're looking at this bearing here. So we currently are at B, and we're looking at the angle of A. So it is find the bearing of A from B would be the question. So we're going to track the amount of eggs to make the amount of, or to make each amount of omelette. So 5 eggs makes 17 omelettes. And we're just going to find out how much is required, how many eggs is required to make 1 omelette. So we divide that by 17, divide both sides by 17. And so 1 omelette would be 0.294 blah 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 eggs. Next we want to see how many for 67 omelettes. And to get to 67 from 1 times 67, so do that to the amount of eggs, and we get 19.705 blah blah blah. Now you can't get 0.705 of an egg, we always round with eggs, and we always round upwards, because if you need 19.7, 19 won't be enough, so we need to pick 20 eggs. We've got to first of all work out how many parts there are altogether in our ratio. So we've got 51 saying yes, 7 saying no, and 13 undecided. So altogether, we've got 51 plus 7 plus 13, which is 71 parts. Now each part is equal. So to find out the value of one part, we're going to do how many students there are, which is 2,911, and divide it by the 71 to find out what one part is worth, how many students are in one part. One part's worth 41 students. So each one of those parts in the ratio is 41 students. Now yes, because it goes yes, no, undecided, yes will be the 51 there. So it's 51 lots of 41 students. 51 parts with each part representing 41 students. And when you multiply those together, you get 2,091. So our answer is that 2,091 students responded with yes. So the only way of answering this question is to work out what these are as ordinary numbers. And so 7 times 10 to the power of 7 would be 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And 9 times 10 to the power of 4 would be 90,000, so that would be 9, 0, 0, 0, 0. And so we're just subtracting them like that. And so we'll get 6991000. And obviously if this is on the calculator paper, just type it into your calculator. There are no tricks here, you can't do anything with the 7 and the 9, you're not subtracting powers or anything, you're just literally typing in what it says. And there's a button on the calculator like that you will need to use. So if you don't know what that is, ask your teacher or ask someone to help you out with that. To rearrange this, I'm just going to write out the equation again. And I'm going to put my lines in. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is try and make the x positive, because we're looking to make x the subject of the formula, which means we need it to be x equals. So what I'm going to do is just add x both sides. So we've got x plus m equals 10. Then we want to get rid of anything on the left hand side that's not this x. So we want to get rid of this plus m. So we're going to do that by subtracting m both sides. So we've got x equals 10 minus m. So our answer is 10 minus m. X equals 10 minus m. With these questions, what we need to do is write down what we're given in the question. So it says that the car accelerates at 6 meters per second squared. So we've got the acceleration, which is 6 meters per second squared. and I'm using the same letters as it has in the question here. It says for 21 seconds, so we've got the time, which is here. So the time is 21 seconds. Now, there is also something else it gives us, because it says from rest. So the initial velocity is going to be 0, and it asks us to find the final velocity. So we're looking for what v is. So we're looking to see which of the three formulae at the top involve an A, a T, a U, and a V. So it's not going to be this one because this has an S. It's not going to be this one because this has an S. It's going to be the top one. So what we do is we write down the top one. V equals U plus AT. And we're looking for V, so I'm going to keep V as a V. U is 0 plus A, which is 6, times T, which is 21. 6 times 21 is 126. Obviously 0 plus 126 is just 126. The units are meters and seconds throughout, so it's going to be 126 meters per second. To find the exterior angle of any polygon, we do 360 divided by the amount of sides. These are decagons, which means they have 10 sides. So the exterior angles will be 36 degrees. And the exterior angle is just an angle that kind of continues on. You just continue on from the side. So this one here is the exterior angle of the left-hand decagon, and this one here is the exterior angle on the right-hand decagon. So altogether, the angle A will be 36 plus 36, which will be 72. So our answer will be 72 degrees. So the first thing we need to do is work out the mean for the data in the table. So to start off doing that, we're going to work out the midpoint of each group. So we've got 80 to 85, and to find the midpoint, you add the 80 and the 85 together, then you divide by 2. So this will be 82.5, then 87.5, then 92.5, then 97.5, and then finally 100 plus 105 divided by 2 is 102.5. Next we need to find the FT, which is just the frequency times the duration of calls. Now, in this first group, we're not timesing it by 80 to 85 or anything like that. We're timesing it by the midpoint. So our midpoint effectively becomes the T. So we're going to do 15 times that, which will be 1237.5. And we're just going to keep going and multiplying each of these together. And then finally 2050. Right, next we need to add up the frequencies and add up the FTs. So we're going to have the sum of the frequencies. So I'm just adding all this column up, and that will be 80. And we have sum of the FT. And so we're going to just add this column up here. And so that would be 7,450. So what this column represents is all the numbers added up together. This column represents how many numbers we have. So to find the mean, it's all of the numbers added together, which will be 7,450, over the amount of numbers we have, which is 80. So when you do that, we get 93.125. Now this question is about the improvement that we've made, or that the manager has made, the call centre's made. So we're looking at subtracting the 93.125 away from the last week, which was 105. So we're looking for improvement. And we're going to do 105, take away the 93.125. and that's going to be 11.875. Now it does ask for 2 decimal places, so that will be 11.88. The formula y equals mx plus c includes this m, and the m means the gradient. So if we're looking for something that is parallel to y equals 9x plus 18, we're looking at this number here. And for it to be parallel, it needs to have the same gradient. So we could just write y equals 9x plus or subtract anything. Or we could just write y equals 9x. I'm going to say plus 5. So first thing to realise is that the formula for a volume of a cylinder is pi r squared h. So what we need to do first of all is work out the volume of the water butt that James currently has. So we're going to do the volume equals pi times the radius, which is 89 squared, times the height, which is 189. And when we do that, we get 1497,069 lots of pi. And I'll keep this in terms of pi just for simplicity. Now, what we want is we want the volume to stay the same. So we're going to keep that as the volume, 1497,069 pi. But we want the radius to change. So instead of the radius being 89, we want the radius to be 103. So times 103 squared. And we're trying to work out what the height is. Okay, so first thing we can do actually is just cross off the pi's from both sides. We don't really need them at all. And then we can get our solving things in, our solving lines, and we can divide both sides by the 103 squared. And on the left hand side we get 141.113 blah blah blah, and on the right hand side we get h. So the height will be 141.113. It says it wants it to 2 decimal places, so that would be 141.11. We know that when you multiply powers with the same base, and here we've got all these as base v, you add the powers. So we're actually looking at what do we add to 11, which is this one here, to get to the 15. 11 plus 4 is 15. So W therefore equals 4. So in this question we are told that the centre of enlargement is at 6, 4. So let's just put across there. And what I'm going to do is just draw ray lines from the centre of enlargement, and we're just going to go through each of the corners of our shape A. And we're going to just check whether it goes through the corner of shape B, which it does on this one. Let's just keep going. Yeah, it does on this one. But it does not on this one. So it says find the coordinate of the vertex of shape B that is not correct. So the coordinate is this one here, and so that would be -4, 1. So to find the area of a rectangle, we do length times the width. So here, to find the area, we will do the 10 times the whole of the 10t plus 4. And to show that we're doing the whole of it, we put it in brackets. So a different way of writing that is 10 brackets 10t plus 4. And whichever method you use to expand brackets, feel free to do it here. I'm going to just do the grid method, but whatever method you prefer. Actually, I don't need the, I've done too many here. Let's get rid of that. So we've got 10 times 10t plus 4. So we're timesing them, so 10 times 10t, 10 times 10 is 100, so it'd be 100t, 10 times 4 is 40. So our answer will be 100t plus 40. There's a very specific way to draw an angle bisector, and you start off with a pair of compasses and put the point on B, and then draw an arc from B. And it doesn't matter what the distance is, as long as it's kind of roughly maybe halfway between A and B. It doesn't matter what the distance is. And then at the 2 points, so here and here, that our arc intersects line AB and BC, we're going to draw another arc up here. So I'm just going to show you because it's normally easier. So an arc over here, and I'm going to do an arc from the other one over here. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to join where the two lines join with where the two arcs join. And that is how you do an angle bisector. All of the arcs leave on the diagram because they are going to get you the marks. Arcs for marks. To find the gradient of a line, we need to find two coordinates that we know. So I've got this coordinate here and this coordinate here. Now I don't really know what this coordinate is, that's why I've not picked one. You need to pick coordinates you know. And what we do is we just draw a right angled triangle between them. Try to get this nice, there we are. And the gradient, which we call m, is the change in y. How much has y changed over the change in x? So the change in y is going to be 4, because it's gone up 4. And the change in x is 3, because it's gone to the right 3. So our answer will be 4 over 3. So the first term will be 50 to the power of 1. Anything to the power of 1 is just itself, so that will just be 50. The next one will be 50 squared. So that's going to be 50 times 50, which would be 5 times 5 times 10 times 10. 25 times 100, which would be 250. 2,500 even. And then last one is 50 cubed. So that's going to be the 2,500 times 50 again. And so when you times that out, you get 125,000. When it's said that y is inversely proportional to x, it means that y changes as 1 over x changes. And to write this in an equation, all we do is we just write y equals k over x. Now k is something we need to find. So what we need to do is find out what a value of y and a value of x are somewhere on the graph that would be formed from this, and we've got that in this question. So we know that when y is 7, then x is going to be 7.9. And what I need to do now is just draw my lines down. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to just times both sides by 7.9. And so we have k equals, and it'd be 7 times 7.9, which is 55.3. So we know that k is 55.3. So I'm just going to rewrite this equation here, or this formula here. But instead of k, I know that it's going to be 55.3. So our answer is y equals 55.3 over x. So we've got a right angle triangle here, and we've given two lengths and an angle, or it involves two lengths and angles. That's going to be a trigonometry question. And to do trigonometry, we start off by labelling the sides. So we've got the hypotenuse opposite the right angle. The opposite is opposite the marked angle, and the adjacent is between the right angle and the marked angle. And we notice that the opposite doesn't have a number or letter next to it, so we get rid of that. Next step is to draw in our triangles. So they are going to be so, ka, toa. We've crossed out the O, so we can cross out the toa and the so, and that leaves us with the ka. So write out the formula, which is cos x equals a over h. Now the angle is what x represents in our formula, so that's going to be cos 42 equals what a is represented with an x, and the hypotenuse is 7.3. So next we get our solving lines in. And notice, to get x on its own, what we're going to do is just times both sides by 7.3. And when we do that, 7.3 times cos 42, and be careful when you type in cos 42, close the brackets, then times it by 7.3. A lot of calculators open brackets when you type in sine, cos or tan. And we get 5.424 blah 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 equals x. So around to 2 decimal places, it will be 5.42. So we're going to first of all draw a tree diagram for this information. You don't have to, but it is easier to understand what's going on. And so the first choice will be the first pick. It'll either be male or female. And the second choice will be the same, male and female. And looking at the questions, there are 3 male names in the hat and 5 names in total. So the fractions for the first one will be 3 over 5. If there's 3 male names, there'll be 2 females. Now, if we picked a male name already, there'll be 2 left and 4 left in total. If we haven't picked a female, there's still 2 females, but there's 4 left in total. If we picked a female, there'd still be 3 males and only 4 left in total, but there'd only be 1 female left. 1 female name left and 4 left in total. Okay, we're looking for the probability that the genders of the names are different. So looking at the outcomes, the outcome here would be male-male. That's not what we're interested in. Here would be male-female, we are interested in. Female-male, we are interested in. And female-female, we're not interested in. So we're not interested in these ones. And the way that tree diagrams work is as you go along the tree, any fractions you go across, you multiply together to find the outcome. So this will be 3 over 5 times 2 over 4. And I realise I could cancel 2 over 4, but I generally cancel at the end. So 3 times 2 is 6, 5 times 4 is 20. We're going to do the same with the other root. So 2 over 5 times 3 over 4. So 2 over 5 times 3 over 4, 3/4. That would be 6 over 20. Now we're looking to see whether it was male and female or female and male. And the word or in probability means add. So it'd be 6 over 20 plus 6 over 20. And this is the probability of different, which will be 12 over 20. Now 12 over 20 will cancel to 3 over 5, or 3/5. To find the perimeter of this sector, we've got to first of all find out the length of the arc, which will be this part here. And the formula for arc length is, first of all, we find out the fraction of the circle we have. So we put the angle over 360, and that will tell us the fraction of the circle that the sector is. And then all we do is we times that by the circumference, which is pi d. And so that's going to be 49 over 360 times pi times, and the diameter would be twice the radius. The radius is 7, so it would be times 14. When we do all of that, we get 5.986, blah, blah, blah. But that is not the perimeter yet. Perimeter needs to include, get the right ones, needs to include these parts here. So the perimeter will be the 5.986 plus a radius plus another radius. And when we do that, we get 19.986, blah, blah, blah. And we want to round it to 2 decimal places, so that will be 19.99 centimetres. We're going to start by focusing on the A and B, which is 8 and 16. So in the middle is going to be 8 and 16. The next thing we're going to focus on is the fact that A is all the multiples of 4. Now 8 and 16 have both already been taken because they're in the middle. So the remaining multiples of 4 are the 4 there and the 12 there. So the next ones I'm going to focus on is the A or B. So A or B is in A, in B, or in the middle. So if we cross out the ones we've already used, so we've already used the 8 and 16 and the 4 and the 12, that leaves the 1 and the 9. We'll cross that out of our other list. And there's only 2 left in our everything list at the top. We've got the 3 and we've got the 11. So on the outside we have 3 and we have 11. You can complete a unique version of this paper by going to our onmaths site. onmaths is full of free content to help you prepare for your exams, such as topic-based papers, demon questions and mini mocks. If you like what we do, please consider subscribing.